Alright, so I'm starting off this new series where I'm going to be analyzing some of my favorite Tamil cinema scenes from the last few decades, and I'm going to hopefully try to do it every single week. So to start off, I'm going to pick a scene from the film Vadivelu. Now, Vadivelu is not really a memorable film. You know, it had Surya, Asin, and Vadivelu, and it's directed by Hari. It's not really that special of a film, but there's a very good scene in this film, and it's one of the funniest scenes in Tamil cinema in the past few decades, one of the funniest scenes that Vadivelu has ever done in his whole entire career, and I think that this is probably one of Hari's best written scenes in his whole entire career in terms of writing a comedic track for a comedian. And it's this scene from the movie Vadivelu. Now, this scene, to give you some backstory if you've never seen the film, pretty much there's a beef between this tea shop owner and Vadivelu. Vadivelu makes a comment saying that, oh, you're making this new board and you're spending all this money on this new sign and whatever, but you're not spending money on like the ingredients that you have in the store. Obviously, the tea shop owner threatens him and says like, you know, some jokes to him, and Vadivelu gets kind of a little bit tense. And it is the start of a very brilliantly written comedic sequence by Hari, which is surprising to say because I don't really find Hari as a really good writer, but this sequence utilizes a scientific effect. I don't know if this is intentional or unintentional, but Hari utilized the cascading effect. Here's the definition. And pretty much in simple terms, the cascading effect is when a certain event starts off this chain reaction of events, and it could cause some negative or possibly disastrous and big proportional events to follow. So let's say, for example, someone is having a barbecue near a forest. While they're having a barbecue, maybe a fire ember touches onto the grass below, and the grass starts going on fire, and possibly the fire might travel into the roots underground. The roots go on fire, which might cause the trees above to go on fire. And once the trees might go on fire, maybe it causes like a forest fire. A forest fire causes smoke, ash, and smog to start up. And that smog can like travel towards distances that were very far away from the original area. So because of that one little fire ember, it causes some disastrous results. And ironically and hilariously, this comedic sequence, maybe intentional or unintentionally, utilizes the effect to hilarious results. So after the verbal spat that he has with the tea shop owner, Vadivelu sits with his friends and is talking, and a bird accidentally poops on him on his shoulder, or possibly purposely, because, you know, Vadivelu comedy, there's usual purposeful manner rather than an accidental manner. And, you know, he gets annoyed, he's disgusted by it, and he looks up, he's like, you know, visibly like frustrated that this happened. One of his friends in his group looks at the bird and is annoyed and angry, and pretty much more angry than Vadivelu, and says, you know what, I'm going to, you know, try to kill this bird because it did this to you. And he throws a rock at the bird. So instead of hitting the bird, accidentally he hits Vadivelu on the head. Vadivelu is bleeding, and the friend picks up the rock, looking at the blood, thinking that he killed the bird. And he says success, or I forget like the exact terms. But yeah, Vadivelu obviously looks comedically annoyed at the fact that his friend accidentally hit him. The friend, still thinking that he hit the bird, looks at Vadivelu and sees the blood on his face and thinks that the person painting the sign above them is the person to be the reason why Vadivelu is having red stuff all over his face, because he's painting on the board with red paint. So he goes to the painter and tries to knock him off, and successfully does so, causing the painter to hit his head on the ground and get into severe pain as well. Because of this, the painter is in severe pain. Vadivelu feels guilty and is hilariously frustrated and pretty much throws the rock at his friend, saying that he's like annoyed that his friend's trying to help him out in the situation. And ironically, instead of hitting his friend in the head, he hits another person along the way. The rock ends up hitting another person that was riding their bike towards his friend, and that guy falls off. The guy looks at Vadivelu and says, like, why did you throw this rock at me? I'll show you. He picks up his bike and throws the bike towards Vadivelu, who ducks, and the bike goes towards the tea shop owner. And then another person gets hit in the head. This time the tea shop owner, he is visibly frustrated at Vadivelu and says, I'm going to show you. He picks up a hot boiling pot of liquid and rushes towards Vadivelu. At just the right moment of time, Vadivelu dodges this hot liquid and it accidentally hits these two other patrons that are coming to the tea shop. And obviously they are now in physical pain and they're like burning because of the liquid. So not only do those two patrons fall down because of the severe burns that they're getting from that liquid, but also the tea shop owner falls to the ground because he's in severe pain because of the head injury as well. And just at that moment, ironically, because the cascading effect is causing more and more disastrous proportional events, the tea shop has a spark that ignites inside the store. The tea shop owner tells Vadivelu to quench the flame and throw water on it to like diminish like any damages that might cause to the store. Instead of picking up the water canteen that the tea shop owner tells Vadivelu to pick in front of the store, he picks up a canteen that is full of oil and kerosene. And because of this, it causes an explosion and a hilarious action-packed end to this whole sequence. It is so hilarious and it's so brilliantly done. I'm very surprised that Hari actually wrote this because it is such a brilliantly written and very fast-paced, action-packed comedic sequence. It's so brilliantly done. It's just one event after another event after another event, and it just flows so well, and everyone's just in severe pain. And Vadivelu, ironically, is the one who has nothing that bad happen to him. Everyone's like running away from this like big flame and this big explosion. And ironically, he actually highlights the fact that the cascading effect just happened because he says, because of this one poop incident, all of this happens to the point where the store blows up. So yeah, it's one of my favorite Vadivelu comedic sequences of all time. It's so hilarious. It's very brilliantly done. And ironically is a brilliant showcase of the cascading effect. And who knew that you can find a scientific effect within a Vadivelu comedy track?